First of all, I'm Cirina Catania. I'm a filmmaker. I live in California, but I travel all over the world for my clients shooting movies. And they also have documentaries, 3 documentaries in post-production. And I want to start out by thanking these guys at OWC for everything they've done for me and for all of the filmmakers, and the fact that I actually use half the stuff in this booth comes with me either when I travel or it's sitting in my office every single day. So OWC and SoftRaid help me with the care and feeding of my data on a regular basis. Not only do we battle the elements when we're traveling, but there's a data war out there. So are you feeling secure with your data? If you are, don't. While we're having fun filming and documenting and being an adventurer, there's a hidden danger that's lurking behind us, and I am the unfortunate recipient of that. In challenging times, OWC has been there to protect me and to protect what I do for a living. As filmmakers, we take care of your stories. We're the ones who love to tell your stories, and that's what we dedicate our entire lives to. We work in the field. I personally work in the field most of the time, and you can see in this shot here that I'm using 2 Voyagers. I'm using the Extreme Pro SSDs, which go in the Blackmagic cinema cameras that I use. You probably can't see it, but I also have some of the Envoy Pros because that's what I use in the field to transfer media and manage media. I'm out in the field all the time, so here I'm using a Blackmagic cinema camera with the OWC cards inside of it. I've never ever had a problem, and don't tell them, but I actually even dropped one time on the hard tile floor and nothing happened. It was still good. So I'm way out. If I lose data or if I have a problem with a card, I'm stuck. This particular location is a family that I've been covering for the last 10 years, 2 generations, and we had to drive 10 hours in the middle of nowhere to get to this ranch. Had anything gone wrong with any of our equipment, we just would have been stuck. So I'm in cowboy country in sub-freezing weather, unpaved mountain roads. I'm working with crews some of the times, and some of the times I'm alone. This is a shot of a wounded warrior that I'm tracking for a documentary. I go to Berlin every year. I cover Comic-Con. I go down to San Diego for shoots. I'm in Fiji. I am in Kenya. I chase lightning for National Geographic in the middle of the Southwest, and I cover things like powwows for clients. And I have another documentary on Chuck Caldwell, who's a veteran of World War II. He survived the Battle of Tarawan. He's 90 years old, and for the first time ever, he told his story, and I had OWC equipment with me on that shoot, which actually is interesting because I didn't know I was going to be filming him. I just happened to be going through Gettysburg and I heard about him, but because I travel everywhere in the world with my camera and with the OWC equipment, I was ready to go and I could shoot. So Cowboy Country is a very precious documentary that I've been working on for 2 years, and that media actually got lost in a hack. I was in the Amazon jungle in Peru with humidity of, it was raining most of the time, but when it wasn't raining, the humidity was over 90% and it was really, really hot. So luckily the equipment worked, and I had to manage my media using solar power, which is, as I found out, very difficult to get when you're in the middle of the jungle. So I was running the solar power, but because I could use the Envoy Pros, I could put them in my backpack and travel with them and not have a problem and just record on the cards and then transfer it using my laptop to the Envoy Pros. This is some of the equipment, and you can't really see it very well because there's a lot of little pieces there, but if you look in the back, there's an orange waterproof case, and that's where I keep my SSD cards and my Envoy Pros with all the media on them in extreme environments that I need waterproof equipment. You know, it sounds like it's a lot of fun, and it is, it's a lot of fun. These guys are going to the clown festival that happens once a year in Iquitos, which is a town where you land on a small plane and then you take a boat down the Amazon River. And these are healthcare persons who go in and they train people on medical emergencies. This is some of the coverage in the Amazon, still photography and my video, survival videos. We were fishing, and this is some of what, as a filmmaker, you get to do.
These are our palm weevil larvae. We've pulled out a little bit of their guts for proper roasting. Now Mr. Ricardo is putting them on our kebab sticks.
No, don't eat me.
I know that's actually pretty gross. And yes, I did eat grubs because when you're out in the middle of nowhere, you eat what the locals eat. And actually they're called Peruvian marshmallows, and they're some of the highest protein you can get anywhere in the world. So that was pretty awesome, but not due to the grubs. On that trip, I came back from shooting on the river. You saw the pictures of the river. I came back from shooting on the river and went into a 2-day coma. I spiked a fever that was really, really high, and this is the first thing I saw when I woke up, and the first words out of my mouth were, "Where's my camera?" And I asked them how long I'd been out, and they told me 2 days. Still don't know. I'm fine. I had nothing. We have no idea what caused it. So this is Keontae's story. He's an athlete that I have been tracking for about 3 years. He lost a leg in Afghanistan, and he wants to dedicate his life to helping other people. And that's really why I do this. I do this to help other people, to tell their stories. And Keontae is 25 years old, and he was told that he should try to run track when he was working with his first artificial leg. And he decided to do that. So now he trains every day to try to get a spot on the Paralympics. And I want to help him. This is just a little clip of Keontae. These are actually shots that were taken for a color test. We use the Blackmagic camera with the OWC 2.5-inch drives inside of it. So thanks to OWC, I'm able to capture these kinds of images. And I just want to show you a little clip of some of the media that was recovered after the hack.
Keontae, he went through it, Jeremy.
Okay, I just want to say another thank you. That film would not be possible without the guys at OWC. So what happened was in 2016, I was at the Berlinale and I saw a movie called Zero Days that was directed by Alex Gibney. And it was about this terrible virus that's been developed. And I actually, almost a year ago to the day as I was leaving for NAB, I came back from dropping a friend off at the airport, and this is what I saw on my desktop. And over 100 terabytes had been hacked. So I immediately went to SoftRaid, and SoftRaid was telling me there was nothing on the drives. All the RAIDs had been broken. My Orphan Elephants project for National Geographic was gone. Everything that I had shot with Danny Glover for the United Nations was gone. All the stuff that I had shot that you saw a little bit of the pictures of the Peruvian Amazon, a month in the Amazon doing survival training videos, did not survive. 2 generations of an American family and 10 years of work went down the drain. And my dad, who had passed away, had left me a tape as he was dying, of an audio tape. And even that was gone. I wanted to make a film about him and my mom, and he knew that, so he surprised me with an audio tape, and it was gone. So this is the graveyard. I call it the graveyard. These are all the drives that were broken in the hack, and I literally called Tim Standing of SoftRaid, who's here in this booth. I'm going to give him a big hug when I'm done here, because I called Tim and I said, oh my gosh, I've tried everything. I've run Disk Warrior, I've run every recovery program I can. What's going on? So my company went offline. All of my admin files, everything was lost. My creative work, the legal records from the company for 30 years, all of my family information, everything, 100 terabytes gone. So I went to storage and I started bringing in all the old computers and dismantling them to try to see if I could recover some of the older stuff. And I had 900 Final Cut Pro project files that were also gone and irrecoverable. Months later, thanks to OWC, SoftRaid, OWC, then also brought in Drive Savers, and the 3 companies and hundreds of hours of work. Some of the stuff started to come back. Some of it was still corrupted. This is a letter that my dad wrote to my mom when he was in the hospital wounded in Korea. And I had a hard time with a lot of the .mov files. It turns out that a lot of the GoPro files that we use are very, very easily broken. The containers for those GoPro .mov files, a lot of those did not come back. But the Blackmagic camera, the way it shoots, for some reason, when I shot on the SSD cards using the OWC media, I don't know why, I'm not an engineer, but I would say 90% of those files did come back and were healthy, so they were recoverable. There were thousands of partitions of recovered media in one partition alone, over 385,000 files with no metadata, no name, no creation date, and no folder structure. Some of the waveform files started coming back, but they were corrupt as well. A lot of them you can see in the first few files, you can actually see the thumbnail. If you can see the thumbnail, the file works. You can't see the thumbnail, it's a corrupt file. So I sent notes to OWC and the rescue team, and I started talking about which video files were there and what was in my drives, all the audio and music, admin stuff. My QuickBooks, imagine what would happen if you lost all of your QuickBooks files. How can you do your taxes when you have no financial information? So Excel was gone, FileMaker Pro, all those FileMaker Pro databases, 10 years of producing a tech radio show, and all of 1,600 top level executives and tech people, all of those names and contact numbers disappeared. And all the transcripts for the interviews, for the films, those were gone. So what do? I'm a creative person. When I get under stress, what do? I go out, I start shooting. So I started just shooting. I tried to make small things look beautiful. And I started a new blog called US Times, where I can give other creative people an outlet. And And I just use that as a way of trying to recover from the heartbreak of what had happened. There is an elephant in the room that a lot of us don't think about, and that is the fact that our data is not safe. It's vulnerable, it's very easily lost. It could be environment, it could be just theft from airline travel or on the set, it could be hacking like what happened to me, or it could be a software incompatibility issue, or just Murphy's Law. And I think, you know, for all of us, Murphy is one of our best friends. Our lives are in your hands, particularly if we're mass media. We are the ones that are being targeted quite extensively for these hacks. And I think that could possibly be the reason why I may have been targeted. So how can you avoid this? Check this out. But the files are mostly okay were the documents, the Excel files, the PowerPoints, and the JPEG pictures were okay. But the problem files were the audio WAV files, the AIFF, the .mov, and the MP4 files, which is the basis of all of our editing. When you're putting a film together, those are the files that you need in order to make your work work. So there were over 900 events. All the prep work was gone, and a lot of the financial admin files never came back. But I have to say that we have to use reliable software from companies that we trust. We have to protect against data loss due to damaged sectors. So those first two would be getting involved with hardware from a company like OWC that is reliable, that has good customer service, using SoftRate on a daily basis, and the new SmartAlec application that Tim Standing of SoftRate has just developed and released here during the show is absolutely awesome. It predicts potential damaged drives so that you can know in advance when a drive might go down, and you know that helps you to get a new drive in there before you lose everything. And I believe SmartAlec is going to be available, the original version, right, Tim? It's going to be available for free, and it's there now. I think I may have been your first sign up for a beta. So only work with professional companies that care about you. That is so important. When this happened to me, the first call I made was to OWC and to SoftRate, and they immediately said, "We are so sorry." It wasn't their fault. It was not their fault. But they pitched in, and they took their entire crew, hundreds of hours, like 8 or 9 months of work, and got me back as much as they possibly could. And I will just forever be grateful. And the other thing for all of us is redundancy, redundancy, redundancy. We can't really, if you're an independent filmmaker, that's difficult because you can't really double, triple 100 terabytes all the time, but do your best. And so this is some of the hardware that I had at the Sundance Film Festival. You can see I'm using all OWC equipment. I've got an older drive here that I've had for probably, I don't know how many years, the Envoy Pro. I've got their dock, which I use all the time because there's never enough outlets in those MacBook Pros, which I love, but they don't have enough outlets. And I've got the Mini, and I've got the RAID, and I'm also using a Voyager because that's how I manage the SSD cards when I come off the set. This is actually right now in my hotel room at NAB with the setup that I have. And in this orange case, there's my waterproof orange case. I keep all the extra drives. I'm managing using all OWC equipment. And these are some of the equipment that I use. I don't know really what I do about this. Oh, also, I have an older 2011 MacBook Pro. So I got a new SSD card and I replaced the drive inside my MacBook Pro. And it's a screamer now. I didn't have to buy a new computer thanks to these guys. One of the things you can do is use Lumberjack system to manage your media in production. And we actually have developed a new system in as well as logging your metadata in production. That puts all the metadata into your files, and using a companion application called Finder Cat Pro, you can actually bake that metadata into the permanent media files, so that had we had Finder Cat when this happened to me, when the data came back, we would not have lost the metadata. So that actually is awesome. Now what I'm going to have to do is, just for you filmmakers, I'm going to give you a tip. What you can do is you can now go, anything that hasn't been logged in production, you can use Backlogger and bring it into your workflow, and log it after the fact so that you then have, if you look on the left here, you'll see all of the keywords for that one particular piece of media, and you can add them to your project after you come back from the set. So we are artists. We work from scratch. We take ideas, we take our medium, and we create amazing things and dreams. We all have dreams, and I just want all of your dreams to come true. And as you can tell from what's here in the booth, OWC agrees with that. And I want you to get away from feeling like you're hanging out there by yourself to feeling like this and knowing that you have people to take care of you. And I wish you all the best. And I want to leave you with a quote that I absolutely love. There are two goddesses in your heart, the goddess of wisdom and the goddess of wealth. Everyone thinks they need to get wealth first and wisdom will come. So they concern themselves with chasing money, but they have it backwards. You have to give your heart to the goddess of wisdom. Give her all your love, all of your attention, and the goddess of wealth will become jealous and follow you. I'm Cirina Catania. You can see more about me on ustimes.biz. You can reach me on Twitter at @Cirina and Facebook on Cirina's Journal. Thanks for listening. Have an awesome day, and I hope all your dreams come true.